Hey guys, Nick Espinosa, your chief security fanatic here. And today I'm asking the question, should we regulate discourse online or should we not? And I'm curious to know what you guys think about this. And here's why we're talking about this. Mark Zuckerberg was in Munich recently at the Munich Security Conference, and he is calling on Western governments to basically provide regulatory guidance for how social media companies can identify boundaries of what discourse should be allowed on their platforms. Now, while he was there, this is what he said as results of this, or in this vein, and I think it's very interesting. So listen up, and I quote, "There should be more guidance and regulation from the states on basically, take political advertising, for example, what discourse should be allowed, or on the balance of free expression and some things that people call harmful expression, where do you draw the line? We need to make sure that the internet can continue to be a place where everyone can share their views openly and where the legal framework around this is one that encodes democratic values. I do think that as part of that, we've got to move forward on regulation. Hopefully, we move forward quickly before a more authoritarian model gets adopted in a lot of places first." Now, here are my thoughts on this. Mark Zuckerberg is right. And you don't often hear me say this because if you follow me, listen to me, whatever, with my stuff, you know that I take Mark Zuckerberg to task. I think he should be put on trial. I've literally done videos on that for everything that he has done. But in this instance, he's absolutely right. Because if we don't have some kind of common platform for this, they end up regulating themselves, and that ends up being very good or very bad, and I think nobody wins, or we're not going to come to a consensus. Now, the example he gave was political advertising, and I think that's the one example that he shouldn't have given, primarily because that one specifically for political advertising, not for political discourse, not for third-party discussions or groups. Specifically, political advertising is actually a very easy thing to do. You just don't do it. Twitter has decided not to have political advertising. LinkedIn has decided not to have political advertising. Google's a bit more convoluted and has them jump through rigorous process, but there's no real fact-checking there. And Facebook is wide open. Just knock yourself out. Do whatever you want. Literally under oath in Congress, Zuckerberg confirmed that to one of our congresswomen. So that is a very serious thing. But in this case, political advertising can simply go away. And Zuckerberg doesn't want to do that because he wants the revenue. Twitter was willing to forgo that revenue, but everything that Zuckerberg has done in Facebook has nothing to do with anything except getting revenue for Mark Zuckerberg and obviously his shareholders. This is proof in data mining, lack security, and on and on and on. And so absolutely he would want political advertising. Now, here's the thing. Can we actually trust people to be civil with each other on how we're going to handle this? And the answer is no. It really isn't. I like to say Twitter is where civility goes to die, and some of the most harshest people that I've dealt with online are some of those that leave me comments. And and you have to have a thick skin to do videos and all this kind of stuff, but I've been called everything from a shill to a moron to a communist for some reason, and this is what we're talking about here. How do you corral that? And I don't necessarily think you can. And so I think the real question that we have here isn't where's the balance between censorship and free speech. I think it's understanding that we have to strike a balance between the group that is basically saying F your feelings, that they don't care, blah blah blah, versus the people that are so easily offended if I say one little thing or anybody says one little thing that's going to set them off. And that's, I think, the real goal here, because the F your feeling crowd and the easily offended crowd are the most vocal ones in the room, and everybody's caught in the middle. I think a lot of people would have this normal discourse and be civil, and I do have to say, depending on the platform, I do get a lot of civility here. I get people that disagree with me, but respectfully. I look at LinkedIn, for example, where I think my videos do very well and a lot of people interact, and most often, I'm not getting people there that are calling me a moron, an idiot, or whatever, even though they may disagree with my position. On the other side, I have my videos replicate to some fringe sites, and I am called just the worst names in the book. So there you go. How do you corral this? We're never going to come to a consensus, but I think we can get a majority of us on the page that basically says, okay, here's the balance. And then we have to talk about content. Mark Zuckerberg is shifting the burden basically for regulation off of him. And I think that's a smart thing for him to do, because they will continuously be targeted with people screaming, oh, I was censored, or you should clean this up and you should censor. You know, they're never going to win. They're never going to win that battle. And as much as I hate Facebook and I have serious issues with Facebook and I strongly dislike Mark Zuckerberg, he's right on this situation. So what do we do with this? How do we fix this? How do we even start that discourse when we are trying to bring two diametrically opposed groups that are very much in the minority, but very much angry and vocal online? And I think that's the real challenge that we're going to have. It doesn't end up being, I think, a free speech issue. All of us can agree with that. The problem is people are going to get offended. And I think we should have empathy for that. And if one side doesn't and the other side is too offended, it's a problem. So let's discuss. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And that is your news of the day. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, guys.